Okay, hi everyone, welcome. This is Molly, your service year advisor, and today we're going to talk about the budgeting and housing guide. So this is going to be combined with another guide that is coming out called the orientation guide. That will include your service calendar and other important pieces of information for you to be aware of as you begin preparing for service. But today we're just going to cover the budgeting and housing portion of that guide. So we are going to talk about all four parts. We are going to cover all of the housing and budgeting related benefits. We'll talk about how to prepare a budget, how to find roommates, and how to locate housing. Okay. Before we do dive in, I do just want to emphasize that relocating to LA will not be the only thing you have to work on this year. As you prepare for service, there are other responsibilities that you'll need to keep track of and complete. I will, of course, give all the directions for completing these. We have a registration guide in our Slack channel. And we'll also do another event and video about how to prepare for registration. So this is just something to keep in mind as you think about how you're going to prepare for the year ahead. Okay, so starting with your benefits, something new that we haven't talked a lot about this year is that we are surveying the current core, and anyone who is leaving this year and anyone who would recommend their apartment to an incoming core member like yourself will have the opportunity to share where they are living. So this is what we are gathering for the next week or so, and we'll be sharing that in Slack. So definitely keep an eye out. So if folks aren't returning for another year of service and live in LA and they're moving out, that is an opportunity to connect with them and see if you want to check out that place where they're currently moving out of. Of course, we have the relocation benefits that's been highlighted before, but when you complete your workday hiring tasks, you will have the option to elect this benefit if it applies to you. If you're traveling over 50 miles, whether or not you're from LA or not, you can still receive this benefit. After taxes, it's around $300. We also have something that's called a temporary housing assistance. So this is designed to support your move-in, especially if your move-in date is after your registration day. In the past, folks have had to arrange hotel accommodations, but we will actually place you in a local hotel for up to 6 nights if you need a place to stay when you're in between your registration appointment and your actual move-in date. So just keep us updated. Definitely contact me if you want to find out if you qualify. I will also share that this benefit is available for the first 30 days of service. So for example, last year we had a core member relocate to LA and something happened, a pipe burst. And so she couldn't live in her apartment. So we were able to put her up in a hotel for 6 nights while they were fixing that for her. So we'll let you know who to contact in that situation. But for now, as you're just preparing for registration and your move-in date, definitely let me know if you believe you qualify. All right. There's also lots of info about CalFresh or SNAP. Essentially, we highly recommend everyone applies, even if you're not sure whether you're going to qualify. Many of our core members find that they do, and they receive up to $200 a month. So that's all funding they use at grocery stores, at farmers markets. And what Cityyear does is actually arrange appointments between you and CalFresh so that they can review your application and then give you benefits if you qualify within at least 4 weeks or so. I think the application process may take some time, but during your registration appointment in July, you will be able to book an appointment through us with CalFresh. So we'll give more details when it's time to sign up, but just know that we highly recommend that you plan on applying for this. There are some additional like frequently asked questions here. Yeah, we also, of course, offer a free Metro Tap Pass, and most of our schools have free parking spots as well. Other schools have like open parking on the street, so you may need to be aware of like when street cleaning is happening, but that's like more information that your program manager will give you when you begin service. Also want to just say that this pass is only available for like major light rails. So if you were planning on commuting via DOT or like Metrolink, this benefit would not cover either of those things. There are resources in here about discounted internet. Rhino is definitely a benefit to check out. I'm going to be sharing different properties or property management companies in Los Angeles that are connected through Rhino. But essentially, instead of paying a large security deposit all at once, you may have the opportunity to pay a smaller amount, like month to month. And I believe they also offer like renter's insurance. So definitely click the link to read more about that. We also have a partnership developing with Sola Housing. They are primarily based in South LA, where many of our core members live year to year. So they're going to be sharing with us when they have like properties available, and we will be like advertising those properties in the Slack channel. So more information is on the way, but definitely feel free to click their website if you want to check them out. There's also resources about how to have a reduced like gas payment. So definitely check those out when you get a chance. And yeah, that covers, our summary of it. Next up is, of course, preparing your budget. Most of you are aware already, but your biweekly living stipend is $1,122 every 2 weeks before taxes. We have a stipend overview below, so you can estimate around $850 to $950 biweekly, just depending on your tax elections. The other second piece that I definitely want to highlight is that your first paycheck will be on August 19th. So even though our start date is August 1st, you are not going to be paid until August 19th. So as you are thinking about your budget, you definitely want to keep this in mind. Oops, okay. So preparing a moving budget, these are things that you want to keep in mind as you start thinking about that. Take a look at your savings. Maybe you're working a summer job. These are all things to keep in mind as you plan for the move, as well as some registration related expenses. Alrighty, so as you prepare your budget, just keep in mind that everyone's is going to look different. So you can take a look now at what you're currently spending and see how that might change while you're in service. But a couple budgeting tools we recommend, Mint, that will connect with your account, with your bank account, and it will categorize your what you're spending. So you can use that to determine what you want to spend less of or what you can stretch. Some people really like to use Microsoft Excel, so there are a lot of free templates available that you could use. I'm especially a fan of Canva, so there's a free Canva budget template below that you're welcome to use. Let's see. Okay, so this is just an example of a potential budget of someone serving the city year. Keep in mind, this is someone who runs with other core members and shares a room. It's common practice, and that is what we recommend. Also recommend using our free public transit pass and reduce, the amount of gas you may use on a car, because gas is especially expensive right now. Okay, so if you're sharing a room, around $400 to $600 rent is what we recommend you try to stay within. No, it's not always possible, certainly not at all parts of LA, but we'll talk about the communities we serve and where we recommend looking. if you do have a car, you want to factor in your insurance, put some basic necessities in here as well. And just know that this fluctuates on your own preferences. Like some folks might want to spend more money on groceries or more on entertainment. I know last year there's a crew member who was paying for her own like LSAT test prep courses. So that like took a significant amount of like her stipend. So everyone's going to have something different, but we do recommend you try to save as much as possible if you can. So this is a blank template that you're welcome to use. Let's see, but okay, let's go ahead and talk about roommates. So it is ultimately up to you to decide who you want to live with and look for those people as well. We, of course, give recommendations, but City Year is not going to personally match you with a roommate. You have that agency to choose. So I highly recommend joining Slack if you haven't already, and posting in our roommate and housing search channel if you haven't done so as well. That's a great way to chat with people, meet people directly. Linked in the roommate and housing search channel is a survey. So again, like we will not match you with people, but you may complete the survey and then review everyone's results to see if there's anyone you'd like to connect with, someone you would potentially want to live with. That is an option that's available to you. I got photos of it, exactly where it is. Okay. So you also don't have to live with someone who is serving with City Year. If you are hoping to look for other people who are living in Los Angeles, housing groups and Facebook is one way to meet people. So I linked a popular one here, but our program manager, Caleb, also shared some other like housing groups that you can check out, especially if you're a member of the LGBTQ plus family. But yeah, even like our student housing groups who you might be able to sneak in there and say that like, you know, you're also looking in this community and interested in living with folks who are trying to keep a low budget. Okay. We also gave an overview of some data. Of course, like most people either rented, lived in a house, or they lived at home. And was common practice for folks to have roommates. People typically lived close to the communities we serve in, just some outliers, of course. And their monthly rent ranges, of course. So we do recommend staying within that 400 to 600 budget. South LA especially is a great place to look for that range, and definitely consider having a roommate. It is like common for places that are renting in Los Angeles to require their tenants to make at least like 3 times the rent. Some places are, you know, some places stick to that and others are open to being a little like lenient. But that's like another reason why we suggest you try to keep it as low as possible. We're also going to run a credit check. So just another thing to be aware of. Okay, so I know some folks are also like, you know, wondering when is this all supposed to happen? Like, am I supposed to have this figured out right away? Like, you know, when is it too late? So we are continuing to hire over the summer. So you all will be at different places. But we definitely recommend like checking out the neighborhoods we serve, getting your budget situated, and check out the live event recordings and like this guide as you start preparing. You'll want to look for roommates, and as you like search together, you'll want to land on a place, if you can, like 2 to 4 weeks before your first day of service. So this is around the time of registration. So registration is going to happen mid-July on the 21st and 22nd, and our start date is August 1st. So it's not going to be perfect, but we, you know, suggest you try to get a move-in date that is as close as possible to your registration date. But if not, definitely contact me because we do have that benefit of temporary housing. So just let me know. But this timeline basically covers what to expect. And again, first paycheck, August 19th. Alrighty, so these are the partner schools we served at last year. We were originally in Inglewood, but we won't be returning to that community. Some of these partner schools may, of course, change for the upcoming year, so try not to get too attached at serving at a particular school. We'll share more about the placement survey once more info is ready, but this should give you an idea of where to look. We highly recommend checking out South Central. It is like central to the communities we serve. So that can help aid in a shorter commute time. We gave a little overview, like a little community spotlight of South LA. So definitely check that out. It's where USC is. So again, a lot of student housing and also like a lot of families who like rent to students for as cheap as they can. So when it comes to actually looking for availability, we have a list of recommended housing websites, Craigslist, apartments.com, Zillow, I think are the top ones. But also like not everyone advertises online. So if you live close to LA, I highly recommend making a trip out here if you can. Sometimes folks like drive around and look out for rent signs and, contact landlords that way. So that's another way to look for apartments. And if you know anyone in LA, they also might be able to give you some recommendations as well. Oops. Okay, skipped forward a little too quickly here. When it comes to commute, I do want to highlight that the average commute time for residents of Los Angeles is an hour. That is the norm here. So we are going to share a school placement survey. And if you already know where you're going to be living in Los Angeles, we will definitely factor that in. There will be space to share your address. If you are still working on your move to LA, not sure where that's going to happen, then definitely complete the survey once we share it as soon as possible so that we can give you a school placement and then you can look for housing close to the school that you are serving in. In the past, core members didn't receive their school placement until service started, like during their training period. So we've done our best to bump this up early and help inform where people look for housing. So that's one of the benefits of serving a city or Los Angeles, because a lot of other locations will do it differently and still have a later placement. Okay, and rental fraud scammers, they are out there. They typically, they have their methods. So definitely click here to read on some tips. But don't sign anything until you've seen the apartment and talked to a human being. So just be extra careful, and yeah, definitely reach out if y'all have questions or concerns as you've read through this. I know this is the cliff notes, the too long didn't read. So I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know, and thanks y'all for watching. We'll stay in touch and I'll talk to you later. Bye.